Hello, OKIE811 team. This is Susan Bowl, your Executive Director. I'm going to share today some information on the outcome of our recent workplace survey. I hope you'll take time to listen through all of this. I've also attached a copy of this report to the email for you to review in more detail. I want to start by thanking those of you that participated in this year's workplace survey. We truly value your feedback. It helps us to continuously look at where we can make improvements and celebrate the things that we're doing right. We actually had 81% of the team participate in this year's survey, which is the most we've had since we started doing this. The primary purpose for this survey is for us to gather feedback about our organization. We want to identify areas that we can make improvements in, and then we also want to see what we're doing right and celebrate that. A secondary part of the survey is to be considered for top workplaces in Oklahoma. That particular program, the Top Workplace Program, is very prestigious. Over 1,000 eligible small employers participated this year. Only a few of those get actually named Top Workplace. OKIE811 was close to making the list, but they only recognized 40 employers, and we were ranked number 45. We were ranked 40 in a number of specific areas in the survey. For example, OKIE811 was ranked number 7 for providing good benefits, and we were ranked number 26 for providing fair pay for the work that you do. We continue to aspire to be a top workplace, and we plan to use survey results and the feedback that you're giving us to provide and make improvements. Some things that we found out after the survey was conducted. The rating of number 3, neutral, was considered to be a negative response. We didn't realize that, and I think a lot of people who were taking the survey used 3 as a means of saying it's not applicable to them, or that they didn't feel one way or another about the question. We found out that the instructions should have instructed people to skip the question if they didn't feel like they had an opinion about it or they didn't feel like it was applicable to them. Another thing we learned is that we did originally set up the survey to have 4 departments: management, contact center and quality, ITGIS, and then the business and education team. However, if 5 respondents in each of those departments, we didn't have at least 5 respondents in each of those departments, they were excluded from the detail reports. We did receive more comments this year than last year, and I think that's primarily due to the fact that we were given more opportunities to provide comments. And then, of course, OKIE811 has experienced a lot of change in 2018. We have to reflect on what's happened this past year. The changes that we've made have likely left people feeling insecure or concerned, and I think some of that may have reflected in these survey rankings. So jumping into some of the survey feedback, this slide was provided by the survey company, listing some of the things that people said what they love about OKIE811 and love about the job that they do. I won't read all these. You can actually pull the document that I've attached to the email if you want to read these in more specifically. There are 4 areas that are primarily focused on in the survey: organizational alignment, effective execution, meaningful connection with employees, and management skills. All of those combined together is what we see as our org health, our organizational health. So this first slide represents our org health. You can see that our current rating in the blue bar is between slightly positive and positive. However, it's rated 24% lower than what we scored last year on the same survey, and 17% lower than the overall utilities and telecommunications industry. Based on the org health, the survey company pulled out some of their findings, and this is focused on our strengths. This is what OKIE811 is good at, or great at. By factor, we make very good use of our time in meetings. By group, you can read through management, contact center, employees greater than 15 years, employees 10 to 15 years, and then smaller department employees. I won't read through all this. You can pull the document and read them. On this slide, we have a list of the focus areas that came out of the survey where we need to focus some energy. Communications, employees don't feel well informed, values, appreciation, potential. And then this slide breaks down the 4 areas that make up org health: the effectiveness, alignment, my manager, and connection. Unfortunately, all of these have rated lower than last year's survey, and they are also lower than the industry standard. So taking the first one, effectiveness, these were the questions that related to effectiveness. You can see here that some resulted in a green positive rating compared to industry, but here again, the rating was lower than it was from last year. This is the assessment of alignment. These were the questions asked that made up that determination. You can see here that we're rated lower than industry in all of these, and then we also rated lower than what we scored last year. This is the area of my manager and the questions that made up that indice. Here you can see that we are rated lower than industry and lower than what we scored last year. And on this slide, you'll see the questions that make up the compilation of the metric for connection. And here we also rated lower than industry and lower than what we scored last year. I included this chart on tenure because I think it tells a story about how different people who have been here longer versus newer people see things. You can see here we rated pretty high on people who have been here more than 15 years, but then we rated pretty low on people who have been here 3 to 5 years. This is a comparison that I put together showing year over year changes in our scoring and in our strengths and focus areas. It's interesting to see the adjustment. The one that caught my eye was appreciation. You know, it looks like we're strong in appreciation a couple of years, then we're weak in it, and then we're strong in it, and then we're weak in it. So I think this shows some changes in our focus areas from year to year, and we will be talking about that as a leadership team and talking about how can we make sure we're more consistent across years so that we don't see that fluctuation. So our next steps are we do need to collect some more information. We need to better understand some of the context in what was provided. We got feedback in the comments, we got feedback in the ratings, but we don't necessarily understand the context in which some of it was provided. So I need to ask each of you to provide me a little bit more information through another survey. This time it's going to be through SurveyMonkey. I put the link here. There's also a link in the email, and this will be open and available to you through October 19th. I would like for you to, through your eyes, tell me what you see our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to be for OKIE811 and for your employment. I also would like to ask each of you to provide some additional information if any of these statements apply to you. So these will be listed in the survey as well. If you feel like we need to do a better job of keeping employees informed, tell me more about why you feel that way. If you feel like we don't give genuine appreciation or you don't feel appreciated, tell me more about that and how you would want to be appreciated. Operate with stronger values and less favoritism. If that applies to you, tell me a little bit more about that. Give me some context within which I can put that. Enabling staff to work at their full potential. I need to understand what are your expectations with that. So when you submit this feedback via the SurveyMonkey link, you will be submitting it anonymously. I've turned off all of the opportunity for any kind of identification when you submit this. So I won't know who said what. You can submit it anonymously. You can answer all or pieces of these things that are listed above. I will have no way to know who said what. However, if you do want to talk with me, explain your feedback, help me understand your context that you're using things. You want to just come visit with me about any concerns you have. You can add your name at the end of the survey. It's optional, but you can add your name, and I will set up a time to meet with you and discuss what you've brought to the table and just get some more insights from you. So this is the link to the survey. It's also in the email. Like I said, it will stay open until the 19th. If you do provide your name on the survey, I plan to hold one-on-one sessions between now and November 2nd with those of you that are interested in visiting with me and just letting me know more about your ideas, thoughts, concerns. Once we gather all of this additional feedback, I will be taking it to the leadership team and we'll be analyzing the information and trying to determine or working to determine some action items that we can work on as an organization and get that communicated to everybody and talk about next steps for the action items. So again, in closing, I want to thank you all very much for taking the survey, the workplace survey, for providing your feedback, and I thank you in advance for providing some additional information and additional insight to the survey so that we can more effectively and efficiently hit the mark on where we need to place our actions. Thank you. Thank you.